Friend, if you are expecting to see a stash with some type of organization, rhyme, or reason, I am sad to say that this is not going to be the one. I do have more yarn away covered because it's kind of a mess. I'm not even gonna lie, it's kind of a mess. My nicest yarn, my favorite colors, the yarn that I plan to use ASAP, I keep it in the clear bin so that I can see it all the time. And then this little one is one specific project. So we're gonna go through this. This is as organized as it gets, and it's really not even that organized. You can see it's kind of spilling over. And is it worth it to get a Swift and a winder? I kind of want to go through all of the yarn that I have and like recake it and organize it and make it look just like a little bit better, especially after I frog it off of something that I've already made. It starts to look an absolute mess. This yarn right here is actually the yarn that I used to make what I'm wearing right now. This is the basic open knit by Carly. We already know, friend, we already talked about it. This is my favorite pattern. This is one of the iterations that I made. It's the Noro. I don't know the exact name off the top of my head, but this yarn is so beautiful. I made it, I remember the first time, and it was way too big, so I frogged the entire thing. When I frog my projects, I put them in their own little yarn balls. I feel like one of my main issues with my stash is that all of the yarn I have in like little tiny quantities. Like this one right here off of the weekend tote that I just made. This is my Cascade Nifty cotton yarn. I love this color actually. Would I mix cotton and wool yarn together? Traditionally, I wouldn't. So a lot of the yarn that I have such itty bitty tiny amounts. That's why so many of my projects are like scrap projects, color changing projects, just because I never have like enough to make one entire thing. Most of my stash is actually like this. Okay, here's more Nora yarn. I might have more. Honestly, friend, I told you there's not a lot of organization. The clear friend, the clear bin is as much organization as I could do. I feel like these colors kind of look cute together too, no? This yarn is on the top because I'm using it right now for my dearly beloved Mew top. This is the Barocco Lana's Light. This is sport weight yarn. I've never used sport weight yarn until this project right here. I absolutely love the color. I know it's so simple and basic, but I absolutely love the color. This is probably one of my favorite yarns that I've ever had, ever. And I feel like it's kind of a lot. It's in the shade Steel Cut Oak. Okay, this yarn right here is also Skinny AF. I have no idea what this is. I'm pretty sure it's wool. Is it a wool blend? I don't know, maybe not. I don't even know the weight of this yarn. I feel like this is thinner than the sport weight yarn. How are you supposed to find the weight of a yarn if it doesn't have a label? So I got this yarn at the yarn swap. I thought the color was absolutely stunning. I don't know, the yarn feels super luxe. I have no idea what I want to do with this yarn. Even if it's not the same weight, it's close enough. I'm gonna see how much of this I have left over after I do the Mew top. And I feel like maybe making something with both of these. I don't know, for a really long time I was very anti, what are you supposed to say, thinner weight yarns? I just keep wanting to say skinny yarns. I was anti skinny yarns, but now making my Mew top, I don't know, I feel like the stitch definition is more sirens, y'all, what's going on? This yarn also is a yarn that I got secondhand. It's still in the hank, you can see. I have no idea what the fiber contents are. I love like the different thickness and thinness of this yarn. I feel like my yarn stash is also so all over the place. This is the only skein of this yarn that I have. I'd either have to find a yarn that's a similar weight, like similar, and add it to the project, or I'd have to find a project where I only need this much amount of yarn. I feel like that's the issue that I run into a lot when I'm trying to use my stash yarn. Unless I had a really specific project in mind, I would just buy yarn because it was cute. And because I didn't have a specific project in mind, I'd buy one ball of yarn. And so I have so many just like miscellaneous. For some of my novelty yarn where I only have one, it's like, what am I supposed to do with this? Maybe like make a beanie. But the way that the texture of the yarn is, I don't know. But then also I feel like that's where a lot of the fun or the funness comes in, is getting to be like creative and finding, you know, unconventional ways to use the yarn that you have with, you know, the restrictions. So this is really cute. This is really cute. Maybe a beanie. Maybe a beanie. I feel like I have just enough for a beanie. Like a beanie with buttons on it, or maybe like pins or something. That's what I'm kind of thinking for this one. On the top, we have some more Noro. This is a different colorway, but these are all the same kind, like they're the same line. The label is still on one of these. This is the Noro Silk Garden. So this specific one is color 504. I was a clown for Halloween, and so I used this yarn to make my color. Love these colors, like how stunning. It's like this electric green, some aqua blue, dark gray, light gray. This is probably one of my favorite yarns ever. As someone who loves color changing yarn, someone who loves variegated yarn, the Noros that I have not disappointed. I found a little bit more. This is the same one of the one that has the label on it, color 504. I thought about making a project just using both of them together and maybe like alternating every so row. I don't know if they would go together or if they clash. And if they clash, do they clash like in a good way or in a way that's distracting? On the topic of color changing, also one of my favorite yarns. This is the Malabrijo. What does Malabrijo call their yarn? Rios? Maybe. In my head, I want to say it's Rios. But I do remember the shade name is Archangel. I remembered because I thought it was really cool. I love this color. I used this yarn to make my scrappy sleeve as a warm tone gal. This one's like orange and red and purple and yellow. Fuzzy yarn is some of my favorite yarn ever actually too. When I started crocheting, that's how long I've had this yarn. I made some hand warmers with this yarn, and that's the only time that I've ever used it. Every time I consolidate my stash, this one always makes the cut even though I haven't really made anything else from it. Absolutely love, 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 love this orange color. So she just hangs out in my stash. A lot of the stuff on the top of my stash is stuff that I need to frog. I have my black and white DK simple yarn. This was from when I was making the dice pattern. I have more white left than I do the black yarn. I'm honestly thinking of doing like some type of color work or intarsia tapestry. Maybe not anything too big because, friend, we know I got commitment issues when it comes to these big projects, but I'm thinking like some type of wall tapestry using these two. As I'm going through this time, I feel like there's more loose threads than there normally are. I need to turn them into a ball at least. If I don't get a winder, I at least feel like, you know, it might be a little bit overdue for balling them up. We're kind of getting to the slightly more chaotic part of the stash. These two are the same brand, but they're just different colors. This was the yarn that I used for my scrunchie bag. I thought about making just another scrunchie bag, but I was like, I don't want two scrunchie bags, you know, in the same color. One thing about me is if I'm not using a project, if I'm unhappy with a project, I have no problem frogging it. That's why so many of my yarns, as you can see, as we've seen, are rolled up into balls, because they're from projects that I have frogged. This was one of my first versions of the bandwidth bonnet. So I'm gonna frog it so I can use the yarn for something else. This is the only thing that I've made with this yarn. So after I frog it, I'll have an entire cake of yarn. Cascade 220. I have like a million Cascades 220s actually. This green one, Cascade 220. I kind of liked these two colors together when I was looking at it. More Cascade 220. I think that's what a lot of my stash is. And then I have this one and this purple color. I thought about making something with these two purples together, like light purple and dark purple. They're both Cascade 220. I just need to frog this bonnet. This one I haven't even touched yet. Maybe adding one more color. I think pairing these two colors together would actually be really cute. I have more Malabrijo. We're gonna call it Rios until I can look up what it's actually called. I used this to make a balaclava. When I'm knitting Malabrijo and I'm adding a yarn to it, if it's not a Malabrijo yarn, I like to add my Cascade yarn to it. I feel like Cascade and Malabrijo, these are my favorite combos. I don't like to use yarn that's like a little bit too thick. Like even though this one right here, the Barocco, it's the same weight as the Malabrijo and the Cascade, it's a little bit thicker. And so I don't know, something in my brain, I don't like to add them together, if that makes sense. This is also another yarn that I got from the yarn swap. It's similar to the first one. I think they might be the same weight. No, this one's just a little bit thicker. I'm thinking of maybe making like some type of lace headscarf with this one. I feel like this is the perfect color for it. I've never knit with lace though. I don't know how much yarn that requires, but this is how much I have of this. And you feel me? So I'm already not traditionally familiar with this weight of yarn, and then I only have this much of it. And so when I'm thinking of projects that I want to knit using my stash, that's usually the issue that I run into. I love my browns, I love my neutrals, even like maybe a necktie I think would be really cute, but some type of lace pattern. That's what I'm really feeling with this one. We already went over my Barocco. She's cute though. I was talking mess low key. I don't like to use her in Cascade or Malabrijo, but I really love this yarn and I love this color. I love my maroons, my warm tones, my oranges, my reds, my browns. Those are my vibe for real. Another orange, this is my Cascade 220. I actually recently made a balaclava for hopefully a new pattern that I'm writing. I love specifically this shade of orange, like this dark, I think the shade name is Maple. This is my tried and true, my beautiful Cascade 220 in olive oil. This is what I used for all of the promotional photos for the bandwidth bonnet. I think this might have been the first version ever. You can see how long it is. I need to frog it. I absolutely love this yarn. I love this color. I have a million projects using this yarn. No yarn goes to waste around here. I'm gonna frog it and then figure out what I'm gonna make. I feel like maybe even these two, now that I'm looking at them together, the maple color and olive oil, and they're both Cascade to 20. I feel like these could be a moment. Are we seeing the vision? Friend, let me know. This was my very first version of the Mew top that ended up being absolutely too small. This yarn is too precious for me to discard it, of course. So she's still hanging out on the scrap yarn waiting to be frogged. Also, frogging wool sometimes is not super fun, especially if it's really thin yarn. You kind of have to pull the strands a little bit, and since this yarn is so fragile, I want to do it when, you know, I have some patience and I'm not in a rush. So now it's sitting in my stash just as a reminder, you know, like, frog us, girl, please, frog us, please. But I absolutely adore this yarn, actually, I do. You can kind of see, look how beautiful the stitch definition is. I'm starting to see the bottom of the bin. This is good news. This green right here is screaming out at me. I feel like I saw another ball of this green before, no? More Cascade 220. I absolutely adore this shade of green. That's why it's in these balls. I think this green has been frogged off of at least 3 or 4 projects. If I love a yarn so much, I cannot let it go to waste on a project that's just gonna sit in a bin and not be used and worn. Like, no, we're gonna frog it, we're gonna try it again, we're gonna turn it into something that I love. And so this green is near and dear to me. This is all that I have of it though, so it makes it kind of difficult to use. I'm on the hunt for the perfect project to add this to. I thought for a little bit of adding this green and the olive, but I don't know. I don't really like them together. Like, the more that I stare at them, even though, you know, they're green, I'm not the biggest fan. Another project that I need to frog, because this is 100% DK wool and in colors that I absolutely love. This is tricky just because when I frog it, everything is going to be cut and be in little strands. I had an idea of taking the strands apart and just like tying them together and then making like one continuous ball and knitting something with just the one ball. That's my idea. I know for sure frogging is going to take me a second. This wool is it's 100% wool. Like 5 minutes ago it came off the sheep. Like it's wool. And so all the fibers are really glued together. I remember messing up on a part and having to go back and frog it, and it's kind of, this one's gonna take me a second. I love, you know, like the different shades of blue and the gray. I feel like this has potential to be something really beautiful. This red right here is the same brand as this yarn. At first my idea was to do color ribbing, then I ended up not liking that idea, but they're all the same brand. Or maybe I'll frog it and like redo the bonnet. This bonnet ended up not working out just because it's way too big. I hate the fit of the bonnet. It needs to just be frogged. I don't know if this would be enough for like an entire ribbing though. Maybe a bonnet with like a little button. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get creative. One day I will get around to frogging it and it will be something beautiful. My favorite yarn in my stash, hands down. I think I've said that for a couple of yarns. Top 5 yarns in my stash is this yarn right here. It is the Fantasia textured yarn from Italy. I got this yarn at an estate sale. I made a bonnet out of it. I actually want to frog that bonnet. Friend, you thought frogging this was a mess? Luckily, I do have quite a few balls of this. I have 5, and then plus I do have that project that technically I could frog if I needed to, but I wanted to make like a little raglan baby doll top with some buttons. I saw this one on Insta and I've had it saved forever, and I feel like this yarn is like almost identical, and so I wanted to make my version of it. There is nothing better than going to an estate sale, a thrift shop, and finding like really beautiful yarn. I feel like a lot of times it's like kind of trash yarn or like really old dusty yarn, but finding like a nice yarn, yeah, you're a favorite for real. But this is the yarn that I got. This was such a lucky find. I think I got all of this plus more. In total, I think I spent only $10. I looked it up. I think this is Sari Silk. Correct me if I'm wrong. At some point I had 2 of these. I might have given one away at the yarn swap, but this is the one that I have left. And I'm like, I have no idea what to do with this yarn. I was looking up some projects. I saw some people made bags, but I haven't found a project that really screams to me. And then also having to cake this up from the hank is kind of scaring me just a little bit. But I bought these at the same estate sale. It is really tricky when you have limited quantities of novelty yarn. Or maybe I won't even knit something. Maybe I'll like make a craft, but I don't know. I feel like this is such beautiful yarn. I just have no idea what to use it for. This is my Cascade 220, nothing too crazy. I love my butter yellow. I was using this for my basic open knit. I was making a yellow one, but I'm kind of over it. Also, I have like 500 basic open knits. I have to think about what to do with this. I'd love to make, I don't know. I don't think I have enough for a cardigan. I have to figure something out. Maybe add it with a color. I did make a bonnet, and so I was thinking of maybe making matching gloves and matching leg warmers. I feel like that would be really cute. But this is my butter yellow Cascade 220. I have more yellow yarn. This is the same yarn, the two that I used for my scrunchie bag. My very first version of my scrunchie bag, I made a yellow and a brown one, and this was the yarn that I used. This is the Cascade Sarasota. I think it might be an acrylic cotton blend, but this is my absolute favorite yarn to make the scrunchie bag. I like these two together. And then this one on its own. I don't like these three together, but I like these two. I don't know. I feel like the shade of yellow is slightly off, but these two, I'm going to figure out something that I can use these two with together. I have this super skinny yarn that looks like it was frogged off of a project. I got this secondhand. I got it because the weight of the yarn is literally so thin, and I love this shade of blue. I have no idea what I would make with this. I was thinking maybe this one, maybe like something like these two. That's what I would do, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it. The weight I feel like is similar enough. They're both really thin, and I love this taupe and this blue together. These are two yarns that I got secondhand, so I have no idea what to make with them. But I love this blue. And whoever owned this yarn before me, you are so real for frogging whatever you had to frog to get this yarn. I see you, friend, I see you. I have this little tiny bean at the bottom of my stash. This is also a part of this family. I didn't even realize that I had more of this color. Between this extra bit that I found and this red, I feel like low-key I have enough to do something. I do still like my idea of taking it apart and making it one continuous ball, but now that I have these two, I feel like I don't have as much of a restriction. When will I get around to this project, friend? I have no idea. There's like 500 things in my queue, but they're all a part of the same family, and one day there'll be something super cute. Literally the rest of my stash is miscellaneous beige yarn. 3 miscellaneous balls of beige yarn. I do remember this one. I think this is a cotton wool blend yarn. This one is probably wool, and this one feels, this might be my superwash as well. I think this is superwash, standard wool, some type of cotton wool blend, but they're all DK. I don't know, friend. You never know when you're just gonna need a little tiny random bit amount of DK beige yarn. Again, more projects that I need to frog. This was the beanie. Honestly, I would have kept making the beanie, but I love this yarn, and I desperately need it to do something else. I'm not gonna wear a beanie. It's March, and I'm really not even a beanie person, so this was fun. You know, we were doing a little 2x2 vibe, but I need to frog this. This is all of the yarn actually that I'm going to use to make my stripy cardigan by Loopy Studio. I have attempted that cardigan. If you've been around here, I've attempted that cardigan twice before. This will be my third time, but third time is a charm, friend. My idea is to do neutrals, really, and so I kept everything. I have this black yarn. I kept everything in this little box just to keep it all together and to not use it on a different project. But I'm going to start my cardigan. I'm going to start it soon. Once I finish the white basic open knit that I'm working on, I'm going to do it, because after that the only whip that I'll have is the Mew top. And actually, considering is how I'm somebody who has 9,000 whips at any given moment, the fact that I've been able to consolidate my whips down to 2 whips and it's about to be 1 whip is kind of a really big deal for me. And so I'm going to start the loopy stripe cardigan again. Everything is Cascade 220 plus my Malabry show yarn that I've frogged probably 800 times. But I love this color, so she has to be something that I love. Okay, this is everything. I don't want to take everything out, but you can see the gray. This is the same one from this bonnet that I'm going to scrap. And then I have a little bit of this chocolate brown. I don't want to buy any new yarn to make this cardigan, but low-key I do need more brown. So I'm kind of putting this off to the side. I'm debating on whether or not I'm going to buy more brown. But when I do start, everything is going to be here and neat and as organized as it can be. So this is nearly all of the yarn that I own, my prized possession, my baby. Keep me in your thoughts. I'm gonna have to put all of this back. Is my organization working for me? For now, it is. I feel like there's maybe possibly a better way that I can organize it, but I've tried to consolidate everything to a reasonable sized bin, and the fact that it's clear and it sits on my cube shelves, I can see through the bin, you know, most days. Kind of like helps my brain, you know. I'm very out of sight, out of mind, and so I feel like the way that I'm storing it right now keeps it in my sight and therefore in my mind, and hopefully one day eventually it will be better organized and I'll have a better system going on. This is working for me, and friend, if it ain't broke, we ain't fixing it. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I don't know, I love watching people show their different yarn stash. I feel like it's really cool. I get different ideas. We're also such different types of crafters, such different types of knitters. And so me personally, I love to look at, other people's yarn stash and see just how different they are from mine and get inspiration. And so maybe friend, you're seeing my mess and you're like, hey girl, I kind of like how you did that. I kind of like that yarn. Friend, thank you so much for spending time with me. This was so fun. I'm gonna have to do more videos where I'm just sitting down and I'm talking. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing a little bit into my stash. Which yarn was your favorite? If you made it to the end of the video, let me know which yarn was your favorite. Which yarn would you use? Thank you for spending time with me, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.